Okay, we're going to take a look here at some game dynamics, and we're going to look at the underlying mechanics, some of the code that's behind them, and the conditional control of the game behavior. And we're going to talk about game state and control flow. And to do so, we're going to be looking at the file that's in the public folder called game.js. So if we can click on that, maybe follow along with me and pause the video. I'll give you something to do physically rather than just sitting there and be more of an active listener. We'll see at the top of this file, I've already kind of set up a few little helper functions, if you will. The top one is called player within, and it checks whether a player is within a certain distance of a particular object with a particular name. So you give it the distance that you want to see if it's within, and you give it the name of the object that you want to check it against. Okay, and then I have another similar type of function that's simply called within down here, simply within, and it takes a distance and it takes an array of names. You can have as many names as you would like, and it's checking to see if all of those objects with those names are within some distance that you specify. So that's another helper function we're going to be looking at. Another helper function would be stop a body sound. So those movable custom objects that give off sounds, if you want to stop them making a sound, that's what this will do. You just say stop body sound and then pass in the name of the custom movable object. And the same thing, if you want to play the sound, play body sound, and then pass in the name of the custom movable object that you want to play the sound for. And then also another little helper function called body sound is playing. So for any particular body, you can check to see if its sound is currently playing or not. And it will return either true or false. And then down below, I have the example that we're going to be focusing on here. And why don't I just zoom in a little on this? I'll zoom in here and take a look. What this is an interval we're setting up. Simply a block of code, a section of code that will run periodically every, in this case, 800 milliseconds. So that's what that 800 is for. So 800 milliseconds is the same as 0.8 seconds, just under a second. So every 800 milliseconds, this will start running, this section of code will start running with this line 42. And let's just look at it. It says if within one, and it has an array of names here, bullpug, bird, and boombox. So if these objects are within one of each other, if all of them are within one of each other, then we're going to be playing some sound called yay, and I'll show you that's just a sound effect, and it's going to go into a separate section of the config file for just sounds that aren't necessarily associated with any particular moving objects. So these can be heard everywhere equally. They're not 3D positional sounds. So if these three things are within one unit of each other, then it's going to play a yay sound, and it's going to stop those three objects from making their sounds. So that's the behavior, that's the dynamic we expect to see based upon this mechanic, this set of code right here. Otherwise, if they're not within one, we're going to start another check here. We're going to check to see if the player is within two of the bullpug. That's the dog. So if these three objects are not within one of each other, then we are going to proceed by checking if the player is within 2 of the bull pug. And if that's the case, we're going to stop the sound, stop the bull pug from making its sound, stop the dog from barking, in other words, if we're within 2 of it. And otherwise, so if this isn't happening, if the three objects, the dog, the bird, and the boombox, are not within one of each other, and if the player is not within 2 of the bull pug, then we will run this third block of code. Then we will check to see if the bull pug is not barking, then we're going to make the bull pug bark. If, and this is the not symbol, if the boombox is not playing, again, this is the not symbol, this exclamation point. If the boombox is not playing, then we're going to play the boombox sound. And if the bird is not playing, if the bird sound is not playing, then we're going to play the bird sound. So that's the section of code that's going to run periodically every 800 milliseconds throughout the game. And that's going to, that logic right there, that mechanic is going to guide the behavior in the game. That mechanic, along with the game state, in other words, what I do to the position of the bull pug, the bird, and the boombox. I will be the player. I will be able to move these around, so I will be able to affect the position of these things. So where things are at, what sounds they are making, those are properties or behaviors of objects in the world, and they change over time. At any point in time, we talk about, the way that things are behaving in the game at any point in time. That's the game state. As the game state changes, we have different, things that happen. And it's these kind of conditional statements, if you will, this if, else if types of conditional logic that allows us to, make things interesting. So let's go explore this, and we'll talk about it as we watch it. So let's go over here and run this. Okay, here we are in here.
Welcome to CS1.
Okay, so first of all, here's the, turn that background music off with the 0. So here's the clock. Boom. See, I can run into the clock. It actually has a physics body to it. Boom. Running into the clock. So I'm going to move this clock out of here first. Just show you that the clock has 3D positional sound. So let me move the clock way over to this other side. Whoa, I'm going to jump way over here and set it down over here. See ya, clock. We'll leave the clock over there. Go way over to the dog now. See, that clock sound is getting fainter and fainter. It's a 3D positional sound. Now, what do we say about the dog? What do we say about the dog sound? Let's look back in the code. We said that, first of all, if the bull pug, the bird, and the boombox, if those three things are not within one of each other, which they're not, it's going to check to see if the player is within 2 of the dog. If the player is within 2 of the dog, then we're going to stop the dog from barking. So let's see if we can do that. See if we can get that type of dynamic to occur. Here we go. Look at that. I am within 2 units of the dog and it stopped barking. Now if I back up, now I am greater than 2 units away from the dog and it is barking again. Go closer. Now the dog is no longer barking. So I'm going to go grab the dog while I'm greater than 2 units away from it. I'm going to move it right onto the bird. I know this looks a little odd. I just put it right on the bird. I know they can't really do that in real life. Hopefully not. I'm going to grab the boombox and watch what happens. What do we expect to happen for a second? Let me just wait a second. what do we expect to happen here? Let's go back. Because every 800 milliseconds, every 0.8 seconds, we're checking to see if the dog and the bird and the boombox are all within 1 unit of each other. If that's the case, we expect to hear a yay sound playing, and we expect that the dog, the boombox, and the bird will stop making sounds. So let's go see if that happens. So let me go back in here, grab this, and let's see what happens. All right. Okay. And then they notice how when the 3 items, the boombox, the dog, and the bird, were all within 1 of each other, we had the expected dynamic occur. We had the yay sound, and then we had all 3 of those objects, the boombox, the dog, and the bird, stop making their own sounds. Now I can go ahead and put the bird over here, put them in a different place, put the boombox right by the bird, then move the dog right. So it doesn't matter where they're at, just so they're all within that 1 distance away from each other. Now let's go try that other condition. Let's go put the dog down and get within 2 of the dog. And now the dog stops barking. So these kinds of conditional statements based upon certain aspects of the game state guide the behaviors in the game, guide the game dynamics. And this is a very exciting moment, and I'm sure that you can start to think of cool things that you can do using this kind of understanding. Have a great day.